Looking forward to sharing this conversation with you. I did this podcast a little different than other podcasts because my colleague and fellow healing arts practitioner, Mari Mu, wanted to hop on the podcast with me and explore some questions. After you hear this intro that's happening right now, I'm going to hand the mic over to Mari. Mari lives in Los Angeles and has a healing arts practice there that she'll tell you about at the end of the call. We are exploring in this conversation my new paradigm of healing thoughts and ideas, both for healing practitioners and people that are coming to see healing practitioners. It's a beyond trauma kind of thing. I also talk about my new program coming up. It's one-on-one trauma healing and beyond, called Embrace, Healing Through Wholeness. So looking forward to sharing this conversation with you.
Before we get into things, I'd love to orient everyone listening to how I know about you and your work. Back in 2018, I was in the early stages of my professional psychedelic practice. And the
Can I
truth is,
interrupt you?
yes,
I'm just going to interrupt you because I just said, like, how are you? Who are you? And where are you?
yeah,
And so if you don't mind just responding to that,
yes,
that would be kind of more seamless.
yes, thank you. Should I just, you'll edit all this out?
Yeah, go for it.
How am I? Where am I?
And who are
And
you?
and who am I? Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Shelby. I am Mari. I am here in Los Angeles, and it's a beautiful early summer day here. I have been in the healing arts field for the past 20 years since I went to massage school when I was 19. And it has been a wild journey. And I'm super excited to be here with you today, Shelby, and explore some topics that are really dear to our hearts. Um, and before we get into things, I'd love to orient everyone to how I know you and how I know your work. Back in 2018, I was in the early stages of my professional psychedelic practice. And the truth is, I really needed support, and I had a lot of learning I needed to do about trauma and healing. And a mutual friend of ours told me about you, Shelby, and your course, Creating Safer Space, which helps well-being practitioners become trauma aware. And I was immediately all in. And since then, not only have I moved through Creating Safer Space, but I've participated in 2 rounds of Body of Work, your incredible consultation group, and have also gotten to receive a ton of one-on-one guidance through the years. And I can say wholeheartedly that your approach and perspectives have profoundly informed how I hold my clients and how I hold myself in my practice. There's this really powerful coexistence of strong integrity and an infinite gentle spaciousness in your way. And this has been a real lighthouse and a touchstone for me, something I can remember and come back to, both personally and professionally when I need it. And so to just put it in simple terms, I'm a big fan of your work, and I've learned so much from you. I've become so much more confident in my own work and just generally more grounded and connected to myself and more trusting. So all of that being said, I so love getting to dive in with you and explore your perspectives and the why behind your approach to healing. So I have some ideas of topics we might touch on today, but I'm just so stoked to be here with you in this natural unfolding.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for such intentionality around how you've experienced being part of my programs or my work. It's just been such a joy to get to support in those ways.
Thank you so much. So I'm thinking that a good place to start in our conversation would be to start with the talk we were having that ignited the idea of this episode together. Recently we were in a conversation and I was really wanting your perspective on how in a lot of therapeutic approaches, there's this focus on going to the root, which will often mean going back to the original experiences in childhood where wounding happened. And I reached out to you specifically wanting to explore it with you because I've always remembered from years ago hearing you say, we don't need to excavate or dig anything up. It's all right here in the present moment. And I would really love to hear what you mean by that and to dive deeper into this topic together.
Yeah. Well, let's see what comes out. I know I always say it in a little bit of a different way, but I'm really adamant about it. I think that we ask our clients as practitioners unconsciously and often to do more work than they need to do. And we push them to their edges or over their edge of what their nervous system, their mind, heart, and body can actually process, even if it seems like they're right in front of us. And there are so many coaching schools, therapy schools, different kinds of healing arts trainings that promote a kind of digging to the root, that we need to absolutely go back to the beginning and go re-experience and relive our childhoods, and not even that overtly, but it can, in my opinion, be violent and totally unnecessary. And what happens is what could happen is if we start from the present moment, we start with all of our body sensations right here and right now. We start with how our breath is, how we're holding our body, how our relationships are, how the relationship is in the healing relationship. And all of the things that happened in our history, they're already right here. It's here in our cells, it's here in every breath we breathe. And so we don't actually need to do that added extra work to go looking for things, especially in a way of like, what's wrong with me? Or let's go fix something in you, or let's go figure that out. We don't need to be figured out. We don't need to be fixed. We certainly are suffering, many of us, and in pain. And it can feel nice to our minds that very much like to know and be in control about like what happened. Why did that happen? Why did my whole life go the way that it did after that? But it's all about trusting that whatever needs to come up to be healed will come up right here and right now as it feels safe enough. So the bulk of our work is to build trust and safety so that there's a safe enough environment when something wants to arise naturally to come, so that we can welcome it in. We can bring it to tea. We can allow it to come sit down as a friend. We have built a steady foundation together so that when these big things that become very overwhelming, sometimes often quite quick, come into our awareness or come into our lives in the present moment or in a situation that's happening right here and right now, we have so much steadiness and readiness. I just had heard someone say that in body work the other day. I'm steady and ready to go, oh, hello, and build a new relationship to that which was from the past and welcome it here into the present moment. There's such a difference between kind of escaping into the past in order to fix, figure out, perform, perfect, all those things, feel better, yes. But once we have a steady foundation to welcome it when it arises, it tends to heal in that moment instead of going back and going back and going back and going back. We have got to be able to have one foot on the ground right here in the present moment, together in connection to each other, to ourselves, be regulated, and be able to be with that memory. Or it could be a body memory, it could be an emotional memory, it could be a cognitive memory, in a way that we can build a new relationship with it compassionately. And often when we go digging, we become so overwhelmed, we no longer have one foot in the present moment. We lose connection with each other, with ourselves, and we just get tumbled in the waves. And then we spend a lot of time trying to integrate it, trying to come back from that. And healing does not have to be so overwhelming and so hard. We can actually do a slow, steady welcoming of things so that we can integrate slowly. The mind is quick, but the body's quite slow. And so we have to take this approach so we don't keep re-perpetuating harm and causing violence, really, by going digging in places that don't feel safe enough to be dug in yet.
Yeah. Wow. There's so many things there. But hearing you say digging and even using the word violent, there's this intensity to it. And there's definitely the doing and the trying to fix something, trying to figure something out. And that's something I've noticed that stays completely steady in all of the work that you offer from the beginning. I didn't get it at the beginning when you were like, we're not here to fix anything or change anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Then what am I doing here? And I've come such a long way with that and can relate to it in so much openness and appreciation. So what I'm hearing is, instead of having this agenda and going on this mission into the unearthing, there's creating a real feeling of spaciousness and allowing whatever comes up and letting it be whatever it is, even if it's not what we came in the door thinking that we wanted to work with. Just trusting that whatever emerges is the right thing for that moment.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that those things don't arise. There's just a different way that we're with them and that we're welcoming them. Because one thing is, a lot of folks who've experienced trauma, my specialty is in developmental trauma, complex trauma, is that we tend to do one thing like we do everything. And so if we are used to intensity, as if that's our familiarity, that's not true for everyone who's experienced trauma, but a lot of folks, we will go at our healing in the same way, and we'll enroll our therapists and healing practitioners to do it with us. Of like, let's just go so intense and blow out our nervous system so that we have to spend all this time cleaning up and repairing. And we tend to find healing practitioners that will do that with us because it's part of the pattern that has become ingrained from the trauma we've experienced. So we have to be willing to be uncomfortable in that way. Of like, am I willing to slow down and experience that kind of discomfort? Am I willing to be a little bored? Or more than anything, am I willing to sit in uncertainty? Because when we're digging and looking for roots, we're actually looking for something for our brains to grab onto that we can be certain about and that we can go control. But when we can learn in the present moment, no matter what, to feel safe enough to sit in uncertainty, unsettledness together, we can welcome anything, pleasant, unpleasant, neither. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. The potency in slowing down. It's been really interesting just in the past year and a half, 2 years. I would say 90% of my journey clients come out of their journey from their own beings saying, I really realize I need to slow down. And that consistency, and they all experience it in different ways, but it's like necessary in order for the healing to take place, that willingness.
It's so necessary. And I mean, I would have kicked and screamed if someone had told me, this is what is necessary for healing, because I'm a fast mover. I make fast decisions. I'm super impulsive. I love to get things done. I take a lot of pride in like the amount of things I can do and move through and heal. And the thing is, like, I grew up in a performative culture, super competitive horse rider, perfectionist mama, just didn't even realize that I was getting kind of like passed down, perform, perfect. And we don't want our clients, or we don't want to ask ourselves in the process of healing, to go like, let's do this real quick. Let's get that big transformation. Let's get this done. Because again, it's a reperpetuation of what many of us have been socialized to do, which is, I'm not okay if I'm not getting that blue ribbon, if I'm not performing, if I'm not moving at a certain pace and I'm not getting it right. And so again, we have to be willing to feel safe enough to sit in that. And as practitioners, that is the hardest thing I hear from practitioners. You mean I don't need to offer a big transformation every session? Or wow, I don't have to because I feel all this pressure and I just can't. And I don't have to give my client all their insights, or gosh, you mean my presence is enough? And it's like, wow, it is so uncomfortable for so many of us to slow down and go, it's safe enough to slow down. It's safe enough to sit in the unknown together. And that alone by itself could be a healing experience that will last a lifetime for somebody. And most of the time for both the practitioner and the client. I don't have to
Yeah.
perform.
Mm. Oh, no, no, thank you. Don't want to perform.
No.
Oh, yeah. And as you're sharing, I'm just thinking about how if we're willing to slow down and come into more stillness, there's more sensitivity to the subtlety in ourselves, uh, letting quiet whispers emerge that want or need to be heard instead of the overpowering voice that says, let's figure this out and I need to get this done.
Absolutely. And there's also sensitivity to the things that maybe we've been staying busy avoiding because it was painful, because it really fucking hurt, whatever it was that happened to us. And so there's some wisdom that's called a defensive accommodation in moving quickly because maybe it helped us survive. It could have been a brilliant strategy once upon a time. And so we have to teach ourselves lovingly that it's safe enough to slow down. It's safe to feel this little by little. Again, we don't want to go all the way in to the root right now or to that inner child that's screaming, don't look at me. We want to just go, hey, I'm here. I'm here. Slowly, slowly. Because those accommodations were so important for our survival. And when we learn to dissociate or numb or collapse or go into fight mode or self-criticism mode, same thing, flight, just getting away from all of that stuff, thank God. Thank God we figured that out, right?
Mm.
So that experience of welcoming the more subtle sensations, it sounds so easy, but it is a radical act of rebellion.
Wow, love hearing you word it that way. Hmm. The other day, you shared with me, we were talking about some of this stuff, and you used the term the new paradigm of healing. And I just lost it when I heard that. I thought, I'm all in. Tell me more.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does that mean to you? If you were, on a team of people co-creating this new paradigm.
I am, and I will. And someday I'll write a book on it. I know I've been saying that on my podcast for like 5 years now. I will write a book, but I think I keep saying that so someone will help me figure that out at some point. um, we have been talking about it. I mean, part of this new paradigm is that radical act of choosing slowness in a culture that chooses urgency. Culture meaning coaching and therapy, but also the broader cultures we live in, a lot of us. It means that we are already whole and healing is our birthright. We aren't problems to fix. We are beautiful, precious souls, and things happened that probably for many of us created some sense of feeling broken, but we are not broken. It's what happened to us, or it's the world that we live amidst. That is the thing that needs the tending, the fixing. We are not broken. We are whole. We are radiant, incredible human beings. And sometimes we've been so impacted by stressors or trauma or events that, oh, we numb out or we armor up. And so when we're supporting the healing of trauma and beyond, we're just tending to those pieces, the parts that went into survival, that blocked us from showing our radiance for good reason, or for claiming our wholeness for good reason, because it may not have been safe at one point, but that doesn't mean that it was ever taken from us. It is still part of us. It's our birthright. And so there is an epidemic in the healing arts where practitioners need their clients to be broken so that they have clients to keep coming, so that they can feel helpful, so that they can feel like a guru or a master, or have a big ego about their skill level, so that they can feel successful, whatever it is, you name it. I've been there. We all have. It's also very human to want that kind of validation and affirmation. But it creates a level of codependency that can re-perpetuate old patterns of trauma, where our clients don't actually understand their innate healing capabilities, whether or not they have us. We are there for support. We're there for some guidance. We're there for love. We're there. Maybe we've been a little further down the path than them, but we don't need to fix them. We get to be with them. And it is such a deep honor. It's such an incredible honor to help grow safety and support and watch our clients tap into their wisdom, watch our clients tap into their own healing path, their own highest power, not needing to take your path, your prescription, who you are, into them and think that that's them. The biggest gift is that we go, you are powerful. You are whole. I see you. I also see the pain and the suffering, and we're in this together. There's a sharing of power instead of a taking of power. We don't pathologize. We don't look at what's broken or wrong. We come from a place where healing is my new program, Healing as Wholeness. We start where we are. We're already whole, and we get support to just bloom, you know?
Shelby, as you talk about all of this, I feel so much ease in my system. It feels like there's this very infinite, spacious embrace, and a beautiful holding and allowing, and it feels very healing just to hear about it in this way.
It's so true. I am so sick of giving my money to healing practitioners that later I regret because they weren't trained in this way, and they need me to be something that they can like see as like a kicked dog that they're going to rescue, you know? And I'm like, oh no. So just like how creating safer space was created, where I was like, I'm so tired of going to these events and nobody is holding anybody with care and awareness. This is a bigger thing where it's all about the embrace. My favorite book about healing was written by a Tibetan Buddhist monk, Anam Thubten, and it's called Embracing. It's right here somewhere. The word is embracing, isn't it? And it's all about this. It's such a short book where we can welcome everything into the present moment, even if it's excruciating, even if it's ecstatic, even if it's totally boring, that it all has a place at the table. We're not trying to cut away. We're not even trying to release. That just naturally happens. We're just welcoming what's here with deep presence, body, heart, mind, soul, and spirit. And so my idea of trauma healing is that it's an embrace. We can build a loving, compassionate relationship to all of it with fierce boundaries. So, yes, it is all about the embrace.
Incredible. So tell me more about what you're doing with journey
Healing through wholeness.
Healing through wholeness, healing as wholeness. I've heard you say it a couple ways. Tell me more about what that means to you and what you're creating for your clients.
It's just that. It's everything we just said. It on my best days, I'm still human, so I can't create a perfect experience, which is part of the point. But a place where people feel wholeheartedly safe enough and welcome enough to bring every part that it just wants to be held and nurtured and nourished and seen and heard and validated and loved, into the next evolution of these next 9 months. It's a 9-month program, and there's two different options. One, there's space for 12 folks to work with me individually. So we'll do one-on-one nervous system regulation work 3 weeks out of the month for 9 months. Plus, and then the group aspect will be part of this. We'll have weekly somatic practice videos that help regulate a nervous system. Be short, like 7 to 12 minutes. There'll be a myriad. I've been a seeker and a practitioner for over 20 freaking years now, and traveling the world and going into kind of every tradition from like east to west, science to way woo. I land somewhere in the middle, but I want people to go through those 9 months in those first 3 weeks of each month, getting just a little something they can either take or leave. They can try this on 7 to 12 minutes, no big deal. But if they love it, then they can go with it. They can keep practicing it, use it as support. And there will be breath work, nervous system, co-regulation work, mindfulness meditation, different kinds of qigong, all sorts of movement and breath practices. And then there will be a weekly invitation with some kind of psychoeducation piece around how we live in the world according to the themes. So over those 9 months, they'll be split up between mind, body, heart, soul, and spirit. Because this is about going beyond trauma. Yes, it supports the healing of trauma, but there's so much more. So we want people to land at those 9 months really feeling like all those aspects have been touched and supported. And so that those weekly teaching videos will be about some aspect of that, some way to look at it or feel into it, try it on, play with it, explore it. Everything from neuroscience to maybe some spiritual practice. You don't have to have mine. I'm going to introduce you to how you find yours, but maybe there'll be some mutual inspiration there. And so those people are more science brained that need to understand what's going on in the deeper work. We'll love those videos. We'll have 3 seasonal workshops that'll be probably 3 to 4 hours, half day. And then next year, I'm really hoping to have another retreat. I can't guarantee it yet, but folks who are in either the group or the one-on-one program will get a big discount on that retreat. So my hope is that it feels like an embrace, like 360-degree hug where it's like, yeah, this is my jam. No, that's not my jam. Just trying things on with our animal bodies of like, yeah, this feels so soothing. Nope, I hate this. Permission to just explore with a lot of support. And we'll have group connection calls here and there as well. Maybe you're like me, you love the one-on-one thing and you really don't do well in groups as a participant. So it's like everything is choice. And I'll support you to go, okay, what is truly the most loving way I can move through this program? Where is my gentle edge so that I'm allowing myself to grow towards the me that I fully and radically want to be in this world?
It sounds incredible. And I feel like the word embrace is the perfect word for it all. Other words that are coming to mind are comprehensive and holistic, just sort of all encompassing, spacious, holding, bringing people through an experience that's immersive, and that there's enough time in it for people to really settle into it, space to explore themselves. And of course, it aligns so much with this notion of slowing down and deepening into what's present in people. Really incredible.
Let's call it that. I'm going to name it Embrace, Healing Through Wholeness, a 9-month journey or experience. Thanks, Mari.
You're welcome. So beautiful.
Yeah, and truthfully, well, I keep saying that. It's interesting. Just started reading a couple days ago one of my favorite teachers, I guess, guides book, Sarah Blondin. Have you read her book, Heart Minded? Oh
No.
my gosh, I just want to slow down reading every word because I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is what we're doing in those 9 months. And I was like, how can we get Sarah Blondin in here? It is just, how do we come home to our hearts in the biggest, deepest way? And how do we allow ourselves to be our fullest selves unapologetically with fierce boundaries? But no more status quo, no more trying to be who we're not. How can we feel regulated and safe enough to live out our path and our purpose in a way that feels fun and enjoyable and inspired?
Beautiful. I definitely want to pick that book up today.
Yes, I put the link in last week's newsletter. So if you've got that, go get it.
Great. I'm curious about when you share about this process, how you're holding space for body, mind, heart, soul, spirit. Is that the 5 of them?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to hear what is your distinction between heart, soul, spirit? Any words that emerge? I'm curious.
I mean, I don't, in one way, like in my very Buddhist background, heart mind is not separate. It's the same. Like, if you go, I've heard to Tibet, for example, if you ask them, where is the mind? They'll point to the heart, which just came to mind as you asked that. And the reality is that it doesn't matter what I think about what the difference is between heart, mind, body, soul, spirit. It's the invitation is for each person who shows up to meet each of those places in their own way and come up with their own experience of it. I really couldn't say other than it's just it sounded eloquent and like a nice journey. I have so much material and so much I want to share. There's so much. And so for my brain, it was like, okay, so in mind, we're going to start like with some psychoeducation and some neuroscience and getting to understand how we have our coping mechanisms or defensive accommodation, things like that, and then we'll move to like, how can we create safety around that heart center so that we can connect more deeply to those subtle sensations? And then how do we deepen into the experience of the body, right? This body that holds so much wisdom. It holds all of our memories, and it also holds all the possibilities for our future. It also holds the present moment. And then soul, that's one that I'm really looking forward to because I don't know. It's the mystery. Yes, you mentioned the mystical when we were talking, and I feel like that's the doorway into the mystical, not that all of these aren't. And then is spirit, magic, mystery, creativity, spirit, higher power, breath, all the things swirled into one, nature. So in my mind, there's like an expansion, an expansiveness where maybe we start the program a bit contracted with life's experiences. And then over time, we have a little more space and a little more, and then we're more expanded as we move towards the end of the 9 months. And that also mirrors like maybe we're really reactive and it's hard. We're overwhelmed by life circumstances and relationships and work. And then over time, we grow our capacity, our resilience, that strength, flexibility, and groundedness. And then over time, it's just like nothing. I mean, things bug me, but they don't take me out. It's like I feel so held and I trust that there is a reason why this is happening. And that's extra edgy for me because that's my work. I'm like, do I trust? I don't know, but we're going to do it together. And I think it's going to be so lovely. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Amazing. it's really, it was really potent to hear you just describe that perhaps in the beginning, there might be some more contraction, there might be working with more of life's experiences. And then over the 9 months, the expansion takes place. And it so mirrors what you were speaking about the necessity in slowing down and this new paradigm of healing. And so I really am seeing how your offering is reflecting everything that you've learned through being on this healing path for a long time, and offering something to people that gives them that container to be able to meet those parts of themselves and not have to get to a destination by month 2, of some process, that there's a lot of breathing room in it.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I've learned in my over 4.5 decades of healing, growing, learning, is that this will be a spiral, and it will also be a knotted ball of yarn. It's not going to be a linear journey. And that's the reason it's 9 months, because we want to do a lot of expand, contract, expand, contract, expand, contract together to grow that sense of trust, resiliency, connection. And then over time, it won't be like every time we expand and contract, it's like boom, boom, ouch, ouch. It'll be like, like just a more gentle breath over time will soften the edges together. That doesn't mean that light being regulated doesn't mean we're calm and at ease all the time. It just means we have more range. That, oh, we can go fast, we can go slow, we can go high, we can go low, and we can also hang in the middle, which is for many of us the hardest part.
Yes. Yeah. Space and time for expansion and contraction to take place. I'll never forget a few years ago, one of the pieces of guidance you gave me that has stayed with me forever was, Mari, not everyone is going to walk out of a session with you tied up in a pretty pink bow. And it has really helped me both in my work with clients and with my own work with myself, allowing for these, not judging these times when things are messier or more painful, or there's been a new process that has sort of opened up or something, and just allowing for every expression to be there.
I agree with that so wholeheartedly, because if we try to end sessions with everything tied up into a pretty pink bow, we're giving a fantasy of how life is and how we are supposed to be. I'd rather end it super messy and then clean it up next week. Like that to me, it feels like healing.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Is there anything else you'd love to share about what's upcoming for you?
I just love this work. I love it. I hate the marketing part. And so I actually hesitated to do what I'm doing this fall because it's scary. It's like, oh, will people sign up? And when I think about who is on their way and who would benefit from this and who I'd love to just get to be in touch with, I'm like, gosh, there's millions of people around the world that I would love to support. And I just trust so much that it will be the right group, the right amount of people. Same with body of work. I'm doing 2 things in the fall. That's it. Just these 2, because it feeds me so much to have such a crystal clear container with folks. And I love to see what happens when that container is consistent and dependable and spacious. It's something we can really lean into. And so I'm just excited. And if you know of anyone that might be interested, send them my way. I promise you it costs less than you think it does. And the group program, it's just going to be $35 a month. So my hope is hundreds of folks will join over time so that they can lean into the support of this as well.
Amazing. That's super accessible. And I love that you're offering that. Who is a good fit for healing through wholeness?
Great question. Folks that have been in a dark night of the soul, what feels like possibly their entire lives, or like multiple again and again. Folks that experience chronic pain and chronic illness and get daunted by that emotionally as well. There's there's so many folks I work with who have developmental and complex trauma who also suffer from chronic illness. And when we work with these other aspects, they get a lot more space. Um, Folks that are sensitive souls, adventurous seekers, um, deep feelers. And I was saying to you the other day, like the badass, I want to say bitches, but folks of any gender identity are welcome. So many of us are deeply sensitive, and we're so freaking badass because we learned that to survive in this world, we have to be strong as hell. And so, like, we get to keep the badass parts that we like and want to hang around, but we get to learn how to soften and also love the sensitive parts. So, I would say those folks, the people that have been in therapy or some healing thing for maybe decades, and they know themselves so well, like almost to a fault, but they don't feel fully yet like that, like they're home with themselves and in the world. So it'd be a perfect place to land.
So beautiful. All of these words are landing with me. And I love what you're sharing about sensitive souls who are also badass. And it makes me think how you are clearly such a sensitive being. And also you're out on those trails, dirt biking and being wild and free.
That's where I came up with that. I was dirt biking and I was like, maybe I just want to work with cowgirls. I come up with all sorts of random ideas when I'm out on the trails. But I was like, no, the essence is like exactly what I just said. I just love, you know, I love so many people that I come into contact with. And I just love getting to work with people that live on those edges of the spectrum where life is just so intense, yet there's such sensitivity inside.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's amazing to witness your practice continuing to evolve over time as you continue to evolve. One more question I have, maybe a personal question, but I know you just hosted a retreat in Panama, and I'm curious, what is a takeaway or a lesson that you received from that experience?
Oh my gosh. There were so many. It's really somatic. I just keep getting these flashes of how my feet felt on the floor of the yoga shala as all the participants were kind of in their meditation posture. It wasn't really meditation, it was nervous system regulation work. And as I looked around the room, seeing who was there, and then looked around the environment of how epically gorgeous and held we were there, and how I just felt like, God, I love this so much. I love getting to do this. I wish I could do this every day. I just felt like, oh, I'm home. I haven't been able to offer a retreat since before COVID. And it just almost brought tears to my eyes every time I felt my feet on the floor in there, because it just felt so good. And I feel so grateful to get to share this work that has not only changed my life, but I hope thousands at this point. I really hope.
I trust that for sure. Well, amazing. Thank you so much for this time, Shelby. It was great to hear everything you shared about your perspectives and the new paradigm and healing through wholeness, and just the way that you're holding all these beautiful people as they move through their journeys.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It's so good to get to hang out with you. If people are in LA and they're like, who is this? How do I find them? Do you want to say a little bit about what you offer and how they can find you?
Sure. So I'm based in Northeast LA, and I offer craniosacral therapy, which is a really beautiful nervous system focused, subtle bodywork approach that is so dear to my heart. And I facilitate private psychedelic journeys. I host a community sauna in my backyard that people can come and rent and use and enjoy. And once a month, I host community fire circles in my backyard where 8 people come together and we eat homemade soup and discuss some relatable human topic and just get to share and connect and explore. It's not really a therapeutic circle, but more of just a humans being with humans circle. And there's room for tenderness and for laughter. So those are really sweet. And I'm in the process. My new project is I'm writing a free guide to put out online to help people make shifts to their digital habits, because this is something I've been working on within myself for years. And I want to inspire people to take breaks from using tech and to make shifts into their day-to-day routine to have less screen time. And my website is my name. My name is Mari Moo, and my website is mari.moo, mari.mu.
Oh, so good. Thank you, Mari. And if anyone's interested in body of work or embrace healing through wholeness, I'm launching it messy on purpose because I'm tired of urgency. And I haven't even created a sales page yet while we're recording, but I do have a link where you can apply through chatting with me and see if it's a good fit. I'll put it in the show notes. Even if you're thinking about joining the group and you want to have a chat, you're welcome to sign up for that call. Or sometime in the next few weeks, there'll be a link up just to sign up for the group part of that program. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shelby.
Thank you, Mari.